Hi, this is Pat Iyer with Legal Nurse Podcast, and today I'm going to share with you a guest who is an expert in personality codes. One of the most popular shows that I've ever had on Legal Nurse Podcast has been around the topic of deciphering attorneys' personalities so that you can most comfortably relate to them and also get clues as to your own personality. There are a small number of systems that are available to sort people into personalities. Today, Barbara Ellison is going to share with us the system that she has been trained in to help you look at people a little bit differently. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Pat. This is so fun to be here. It's just so fun to share with people about themselves and about others around them. Because one of my favorite sayings is that you can't do life on your own. You have to deal with the people around you. And sometimes that's interesting.
Yes, it certainly is. It certainly is. I saw a fight going on Facebook last night between two cousins that made me think, oh, wow. Should you really put those thoughts into a public forum? Because the two of them are completely opposite politically, and it was really uncomfortable. And I looked at that and said, there's no way I'm jumping in the middle of this one.
Exactly. And that's why personality science is so important. And the thing that people don't realize in many ways is that personality science has been around for 2,500 years. It was first recognized by Hippocrates, of the Hippocratic Oath.
Mm-hmm.
And he called them the four temperaments. So now, fast forward 2,500 years, we have programs all over the place, DISC and Meyer-Briggs, and I've done the color wheel, and I've done the animal wheel, and all sorts of things. So when I was introduced to the B.A.N.K, what we call B.A.N.K method, it was just one more personality thing that I was going to look at, because personalities has always fascinated me. What makes people tick? Like how can I work with them? And all the other ones that I took, they were all about me. And I loved it. It was like, oh yeah, these are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. This is something that I could work on. But it wasn't until I was introduced to the B.A.N.K method that I could understand the people around me, because personality leaves clues. So what I thought I would do for your audience, and because this is a video thing, to share with you, there's 7 billion people on the planet, over 7 billion people. There's over 6,500 languages, but there's only 4 basic personality types. And we are a combination of all 4 of them. We do tend to have one predominant one. Mm-hmm. And so you will notice yourself most of the time in one of the codes. So I'm just going to share with you the different codes. Is that okay?
That would be perfect. I would love that.
Let's introduce you to them. Hi, my name is Blueprint. I value structure, following the rules, planning, being responsible, having a system and a sense of duty. Oh, I like discounts, making lists, having a budget and a guarantee. I don't like clutter, being late, missing deadlines or interruptions. I tend to become teachers and accountants and lawyers or police officers. Clues to recognize me is I'm conservative, I'm punctual, I'm thrifty, and I drive economical cars with high safety ratings. That's Blueprint. Hi, my name is Action. I value spontaneity and having fun and being in competition and having excitement and being flexible, and I like to win. I like designer brands and fashions and prizes, and I like to be recognized. I don't like schedules. I don't like boundaries. I don't like waiting, and I definitely don't like having a boss. I tend to become salespeople and speakers and entrepreneurs. And clues to recognize me is I'm excitable, I'm fashionably late, I love VIP treatment, I'm animated, and I like flashy bling. Whoops. My name is nurturing. I value being part of a community. I like being authentic, being part of a team, having personal growth, charity, and having harmony at home. I like eye contact. I like being out in nature. I love family and fresh flowers. I don't like feeling left out. I don't like tension or feeling like I'm doing the wrong thing. I tend to be nurses and caregivers and volunteers, and I work for nonprofits. And clues to recognize me is that I give hugs. I'm friendly, I'm thoughtful, I'm softer, and I'm helpful. My name is knowledge. I value science, logic, technology, being accurate, learning, and being competent. I like charts, graphs, maps, the latest gadgets, and innovation. I don't like drama. I don't like networking. I don't like public speaking, and I don't like people who take shortcuts. I tend to be engineers, scientists, analysts, or programmers. And clues to recognize me: I drive high performance or electric cars. I'm a bit of a wallflower. I'm quiet, I'm reserved, and I love sci-fi. So, what I always...
I feel like we should give you a standing ovation, Barbara.
And you know, but
That's
the
incredible.
thing is, it's a fun way to introduce them because everybody can see themselves in one of them. But then the next thing that they're going to say is, but I also like that, and oh, but I like that. And that's exactly what it is. We are a part of all four of them. And there's actually 24 different combinations. And can I share a quick story just to illustrate why this is so important?
Sure, but before you do that, let me make sure that I've got it. I've got blueprint, action, knowledge, but the third one, nurturing. Okay.
And that's why it's called B.A.N.K. B is for blueprint, A is for action, N is for nurturing, and K is for knowledge.
Okay, I got it now.
We shortened it down to B.A.N.K. The company itself is Codebreaker Technologies, and they have just taken it to the nth degree. They are so far past, but this is the basic where it all first started, and it actually started as a sales tool to help people in sales to make more sales. But then what happened was people were saying, well, gee, I'm now a better parent, and oh, this has saved my marriage because I understand my spouse better. So it has just broadened now to impact everything. In fact, we were just written up in Forbes magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been amazing, and they've done the research and all of the. There's been a white paper done, and Sherry Tree, our president, she was invited to speak at Harvard. So it's just huge. And why it is so important is because right now, 50% of divorces are most of it is because of personality conflict.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And companies are finding that their productivity isn't as high as it could be because teams aren't getting along. Well, let's see what personality has. And for myself, on a personal note, when my husband and I got married, we were going on a trip. And I came home one day and I said, gee, honey, what are you doing? He was sitting on the floor, completely covered, completely surrounded by maps and atlases and all sorts of things. And I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm planning our trip. And I'm like, what trip? Thinking he's taking me somewhere this weekend. And he said, the trip we're going to fly into LA and we're going to drive across the desert. And then we're going to, get to Las Vegas. Honey, we're doing that in November. This is August. What are you doing? And he looked up at me in total surprise and he said, well, Barb, honey, when are you going to find out what route we're going to take to go from LA and drive across the desert and get to Las Vegas? I said, David, when I get in the rental car in LA. He's the planner, I'm the spontaneous. Most people can absolutely see that happening in a relationship. So if that was in one little part of our relationship, and that was a funny thing. I mean, we laughed about it until, you know, when he passed away, we would talk about that a lot because it was always funny. We would bring it up to each other that, remember the first trip we were going on? Mm-hmm. But people can relate to that, because if you could see that in that one funny thing, it became funny. But can you see that that would impact other parts of our marriage or other parts of our relationship? And that's exactly what happens to people and to teams and businesses. They just, and if they don't learn, once people learn about personality science, and that it absolutely is a science and it is a skill that can be learned, that's what makes it so fun, because now I can look at people and see, sometimes it's in how they dress. We always think of it like the blueprints. They're the ones that are in the box. They're conservative and they love structure. Then the action people, they're the ones that are outside of the box. They're the rocket sun. They're the visionaries. They're the Steve Jobses of the world. Then you have the nurturers. We want to recycle the box. Oprah is a nurturer. President Obama is a blueprint. The knowledge people, they're the ones that they want to know how the box was engineered. They're the Bill Gateses of the world. They are the programmers. They want to know all the research. They want to do all the details. They are so smart. So we have to have one of each one of them. And this is why teamwork is so effective. And one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm working with families to see what the dynamics of the family is. That's why so-and-so does that type of thing. And so like in your case, if you have a nurse and a lawyer, and if they're just totally different personality codes, they might find things in the middle, but you know what, it always works better if you can have somebody that thinks the way that you do slightly, but yet has the thing that the other person doesn't have. Like the action people, lots of times they need somebody that is very structured. And yet the structured people need somebody that's a little nurturing to how is this going to impact the world and how to move forward with it. You know, and then the knowledge people, you have to know what it's going to take to make it work. That type of thing. So it's just really fascinating to see the different personalities. It's fun to see them because they all leave clues.
And I think that most attorneys are probably in the blueprint or the knowledge factions. Right. Nurses tend to be more in the nurturers.
Exactly.
But in order to function in a very detail-oriented field, there has to be a bit of blueprint in somebody who has to have the stamina to pore through medical records, which is often tedious, yet single facts or even a single word can change the complexion of a case. So you have to have the structure to be able to stick to that, to enjoy it, and to really dedicate your resources and attention to that kind of work.
Exactly. We all have our own strengths. We all have our own weaknesses. And I did the presentation that I did yesterday. We also talked about learning styles, how we learn. Are we a visual learner or are we an auditory learner? And it was just really interesting. And they were like, in the group, it was like, oh, and they could see the tie-in between personality and learning style. When you can combine, it's all about knowing who you are, your strengths, and how to relate to the other person around you. It was just a really interesting talk. So it's been fun.
Are there any personality pairs that absolutely clash and have great difficulty getting along with each other?
Once in a while, well, sometimes like the action people and the knowledge people, they will come across as, because they are so spontaneous, and the action people once in a while can come across as being unfeeling, because they want to do what they want to do and they want to be recognized for what they want to do. The knowledge people, they are so smart that once in a while, and that was my husband, once in a while he would come across as, but Barbara, why don't you understand this? David, because they're so smart. David, soften your tone. So if you have a nurse that's very caring and nurturing, and the lawyer, their main is knowledge, you know, he needs to soften a little bit, and she has to realize that that's just his personality, and don't take it personally. So that's, yeah, because opposites attract, like in a relationships, opposites can attract, but then the very thing that attracted them is the thing that drives them crazy. Like the blueprints, they're attracted to the action people because it gets them out of their comfort zone a little bit. But then the action people, they're the ones that it's like, well, let's just do this now. And the blueprints, they're the, yeah, no, you have to tell me 2 weeks in advance that you want to do that. Yeah, well, action people can't do that. So there has to be a compromise, which is like my son and I'm the more action nurturer. I'm the nurturer action. My son is the blueprint, total blueprint. First, foremost, total blueprint. And I would call him up and say, gee, let's go out for dinner. I'll be there in an hour. Yeah, that didn't go over well. Now, if I want to go out with him on the weekend, I start on Monday. Honey, you know what? Because he's in his 40s, but Malcolm, 2 sons, Malcolm, youngest one, is the total blueprint. And I would call him up on Monday and say, you know what? Do you want to do breakfast or lunch on Saturday or Sunday? To see what his plans are.
Mm-hmm.
Then, okay, great. What time do you want to meet? Okay, where do you want to go? Here or here? Okay, here. And the last time we went out for breakfast, because he had planned the whole morning, we got there at 9 and we were still there at noon, because we had totally cleared the whole morning for us to have mother-son time. But the spontaneous me would have called him up at 8 o'clock and said, gee, do you want to meet for breakfast at 9 o'clock? And he would have said, well, no. Well, okay. Or he would meet me and say, okay, well, half an hour later, I've got to go because I've already got plans. So now it's scheduling. And that is what is one of the things that's so important. Once you know what the other personality code values, they like the structure or they like the spontaneity. And the opposite way too. Once in a while, he'll call me up and say, hey, I'm in the area. Do you want to go out for lunch? Yeah, let's do it. That's what I like.
You say, now you're singing my song, honey.
Because now you're, exactly. There has to be that give and take. But once you know that, it makes it so much easier. When you know that, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I always thought my daughter-in-law didn't like me. It wasn't that she didn't like me. I'm a nurturer and I'm hugging. Oops, sorry. She would call me and I would be like, okay, and I want to hug her. And she's like, yeah, no, because she's the knowledge person that they don't particularly like to be touched by people they don't know. Whereas me, I hug everybody. I love to hug. I hug people that I've just met. So it was very different. But now I understand that, and it has nothing to do with me personally.
Mm-hmm.
It's how she is, and now I understand it and I accept it, and it's so fun. So, yeah. Now, what do you think you are?
Sorry, say it again.
What code do you think you are?
Oh, I've got a strong blueprint piece in me, and some nurturer and a lot of knowledge. Yeah. Very little action. Mm-hmm. The outgoing, spontaneous, effusive, hyperstimulated personality gets on my nerves.
Exactly. And little doses that you can take. And so when you know that about somebody else, it's balance. I think the biggest thing, Pat, is balance. And once you know how the other person is, you can kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I can handle that. I can do that. You know, and
And,
I really came to appreciate the fact that my husband was a planner. And he came to
mhm.
appreciate some of the spontaneous things. It was like, David, let's just go do this now. And he would be like, okay. And then he would lean into it and enjoy it. So we did come to appreciate that. But at the beginning, there were some times of stress, or times of tension, because it was like, "Ugh," and he would just be like, Barb, I can't do this. I need to have
Uh-huh.
structure. So
If a legal nurse consultant were meeting an attorney or talking to that person over the phone, is there any characteristic that screams that person is of one personality type? What words or mannerisms or thought processes would the legal nurse consultant use to recognize the blueprint personality, for example? We'll
um,
start with that one.
exactly what you just talked about, the things that you like. You will tend to, blueprints tend to wear blue. Um, they're very conservative. They'll have like a really nicely dressed tie if it's a man. They'll talk about being on time. They'll talk about the process of what they expect from you. They will give you the expectations. They'll give you a list. They'll want to know what your credentials are, that kind of thing, because that's what they like. The action people, they're the ones that it's like, okay, can you get this done now? How soon can you get this? They want to be cut to the bottom line. Okay, yeah, tell me what you have to do, but when can you get it to me? Because they're more of that they want it done now. They want to cut through the chase. They're the visionaries that say, hey, this is what I want to do, and you're the one that's going to have to figure out how to do it. The
Mm-hmm.
nurturers, we want to be the softer, the being part of, like, how can we do this together? They'll talk about togetherness, what the impact is going to be, what the result that they want to have, that kind of thing. How can we work together as a team? The knowledge people, they want to know all the details. How and when can you get this to me, and don't rush me because I'm going to do my research. They like to do the research thing. And for myself, though, I have a free tool that now when I'm going to be talking to somebody, like on a one-on-one basis, I find out what their code is before I talk to them. And it's a free tool, and we can share it, and it's called, it's just to crack your code. And what you do is it's a freebie on the website, and people can find out what their code is, and then they can find out what their families are like. I've done whole families. That it was just so fun to see the different personalities within the family. And oh wow, just really, you can see the differences. Like we have one of ours is just an absolute loner, and when I did his codes, it was like, oh yeah, that's why. Absolutely, total loner. He's the knowledge. He likes to do the research. He likes to do his own thing. And yet the rest, 5 of the other kids are the nurturers. So it was just really interesting within the family. There's 12 of us here in the family, so it was fun to do.
12 of you, meaning you had 10 children?
There's 3 adults and 9 kids. There's all 12 of us in the house.
I was thinking you're awfully calm to be the mother of 10 children.
No. I had 2, but I have 5 biological grandchildren, and then we have 4 extras through guardianship, loss of parents, so through the death of the parents. So we have 4 we're guardians of 4 others.
I see.
So I'm not the 2 younger ones, the middle agers. I'm the Grammy. I get to come and go as I please. So yeah. So.
Well, I appreciate what you've shared with us, Barbara. How can our listeners get more information about your services and what you offer?
Okay, well, you can go onto the bit.ly link. It's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/Barb with a capital B code. And when you go onto that on the website, you'll see a little thing on the right-hand side, and it says crack my code. So when you crack on that, it's a $97 value, which is even in itself, in and of itself, is a huge thing. Most personality assessments are a lot more. But ours was, the value is $97. And so what you'll do is you'll see 4 cards here. They'll look like this. 4 cards, and you will put them, you'll read the information on each one of the cards, and then you will put them in your order of choice, from the one that you feel is the most like you on the left to the one that is the least like you on the right. And so then just below those cards, you'll see the placement of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you'll put them into your code, and then you'll put in your email address for them to send you a free report. And they will send you a report of everything what your code is and what it means. And then as you're reading the report of each one of the styles, you'll be able to see, oh, that's why I do this, or that's why so-and-so does that, because you'll see little commonalities of the people around you. And then what I have people do is that, hey, do your spouse. Do your spouse to start with, your partner, or a person that's close to you. And the thing is that now, even though with COVID-19, I'm having people do it and then doing a Zoom call to discuss what their personalities are. And it's just been a really interesting, because right now, a lot of people are not surviving togetherness. And then if you want to contact me directly, you can email me. My email address is barbara@movingonmovement.com, or you can text me at 815-345-2555, and just in the text, put down your name and your phone. I'll have your phone number, but your name, and that you are a bank, that you want to know about bank, and then I'll get back with you as soon as I can. So then answer any questions, because there's a lot of people out there that would like to use this in their business or in their family, and that's something that I work with them, and it's a free consultation if they want to go forward and find out more information. That's great. And it's just a really interesting way to find out how other people tick. So it's been really a fascinating thing for me. I've used it now so much to get along with, to just, be in contact with the people around me. So.
You've highlighted the importance of having that understanding, Barbara. I can remember being in a coaching program probably about 4 years ago, and it was using the DISC system. And everybody around me was the intuitive, influential personality. They were heart-centered entrepreneurs, and I was decisive and conscientious and steady. And I felt like this unusual creature, like, the red tulip in the field of yellow tulips, as I realized no one else in the room was wired like I am. And that helped me in that coaching program, because I realized that the rest of the people in the group were seeing the world differently. We had an exercise in which we had to write our goals, and the leader was walking around handing out sparkly stickers and bright colored markers and pencils and decorative things. And she came to me and she said, "Do you want any of these?" I said, "No." You wanted goals? I mean, why do I have to put them in different colors? I mean, that's not important to me. And she said, "I should have known. I remember. It's okay, Pat."
Yeah, exactly. I have to tell you, I grew up in a blueprint family. My sisters, my parents were all blueprints. And I was the nurturing action. I learned to live in the blueprint family because I had to. However, when I learned personality science a few years ago, I did the whole family, did all my sisters, and we just had a blast with it. And finally, my older sister looked at me. She said, "Well, you know what, Barb, that explains it." And I said, "What?" She said, "You know what? You always were slightly different than the rest of us." It was like, exactly. And she's still, and my oldest sister and we are absolutely best friends. The funny part was that because she was a blueprint knowledge type of girl, and my husband was, they did all the planning. She would call me if we were going on a trip, and we traveled a lot together. And she would call me and say, "Oh, hi, Barb, how are you doing?" "Oh, I'm fine. How are you doing?" A couple of seconds. "Can I talk to David?" And it was like, okay. And the two of them would be on the phone for half an hour because they were the planners. and they had the best time, the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that when he passed away, she said to me, she said, Barb, I've lost my planning partner, because myself and her husband were not the planners.
Yes.
And it was really tough. It was like, I've lost my planning partner, because they planned everything together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even shopping. They would plan shopping things together. And it was just hysterical. And Lauren and I would just kind of go, okay, yeah, let them do it. And we just tell us when we have to show up. That was it. So it was, you have to be here at 10 o'clock. Okay, I'll be there.
Well, we've run out of time, Barbara, and I thank you so much for sharing this perspective. I know that you've got people listening saying, I want to know more about this, and they can go to the link that you just shared. If you're watching this video on our YouTube channel, you'll find the link below this video. Otherwise, look for it in the show notes on podcast.legalnursebusiness.com.